I've been playing outdoors since I was a kid, standing by the front door at around 2 years old, hollering, side, 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 trying to get my mom to let me go play outside. Now, after 30 plus years working in the outdoor business, I'm dropping insider conversations every week with the brand leaders, guides, marketers, CEOs, and others that make the outdoor industry a trillion-dollar juggernaut that drives product innovation, revenue, and public policy for everything outdoors. I'm Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 430 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, brought to you this week by Grammarly. Today I'm talking with endurance athlete Nadia Ruiz. I met Nadia at the running event in Austin last year. Nadia is a personal coach, the youngest Latina to finish 100 trail marathons, and has completed over 500 races around the globe. We talk about her love for running, the various events she has run, her coaching activities, and plenty more. Welcome to the show, Nadia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, good to talk with you again. We met at the running event in Austin. Was that your first time at the running event?
Yes, it was. Really a great time.
Yeah, what'd you think? It was a pretty big show, huh? Amazing.
It was. It almost felt like a very fun gathering with all of the faces that you tend to email for all of the brands and events and products that you use. So it's really great to kind of just network and connect, and even like friends that I haven't seen in a long time, just kind of give big hugs. It was great. Yeah,
it's super fun. Yeah, I go to the outdoor show a lot of times. It's always like a big family reunion. We've known each other for so long, all of us, and it's great to reconnect.
Yes.
Were any of your sponsors there? Was the Ultimate Direction a sponsor of yours?
Yes. So Ultimate Direction has been a sponsor for a few years, my hydration packs, and I have grown to just absolutely love them, because not only are they good to me, but I just love the versatility of all of their products and different sizes. I mean, from commuter packs to hydration packs, racing vests to
cool.
Handhelds, everything.
Nice. Awesome. Anybody else? Any other sponsors?
Yeah. So I was there actually with Velos Footwear, which is recovery sandals and recovery shoes. The idea is to wear it and support your foot and all of the physiology of your foot in between training sessions, because sometimes we wear footwear that's not very supportive to our feet. Yes. So I was with them. And then Morton was right across the way from us, which is my nutrition fueling sponsor.
Oh, gotcha. So you were pretty busy, I'll bet.
Yeah. So it was really fun to see a lot of people there.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So you ran your first marathon at 14. When did you start running?
When I was 14.
Okay. So
at my first marathon.
Really? Wow. Had you been training? You must have been training.
No, actually,
I didn't. Off the couch.
So
oh my God.
I did all the wrong things for that. So this is about 26 years ago. And I had actually gotten inspired by the Ironman World Championship. I was watching TV, the show that they usually broadcast after the championship every October. And I was only about 12 or 13 years old, and I was just so inspired by the beautiful stories they would share from the age groupers and everyone that it took to just either qualify to get there, but back then they used to have a lottery. And it was a beautiful story to see these people train as non-professional athletes. So it inspired me to be like, you know what, one day I want to do an Ironman. It's 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and then we run a marathon. And once I did the research, like, you have to be 18. It's a very, very expensive hobby, and it requires a lot of equipment. So I was like, well, in the meantime, let me go ahead and just choose one of the sports that I thought that was going to be the easiest and cheapest. So, ignorance is bliss. I just thought there was no other distance other than the marathon. So I started researching, like, wait a minute. I'm from LA, and I knew the LA Marathon takes place every year. I was like, oh, okay, so I'll sign up. So I had just started at high school as a freshman. And I thought naturally, like, I better sign up for cross country. I better jump on the team and see. And I actually found out that I had a talent, just the talent of it, like, to go. Once I start, I fell in love with the feeling of running.
Yeah.
So I had one cross country season in me, and we don't run. I mean, back then we didn't run any more than 5 miles. It would just be like 3 to 5 miles of training every day. So once LA Marathon came along, it was in 1999. I signed up. I told my parents, and my parents were shocked. This was only a couple weeks before the race. So no long runs, no periodization of training, no training plan, probably the right gear and shoes. So my dad was 40 years old at the time, and he's like, well, if my daughter's going to be doing it, I'm going to join you. So cool. He signed up too. So we did our first marathon side by side together.
Very cool.
And the rest was history, because we fell in love with that distance very much so.
He still runs too?
Yeah. So the
Awesome.
beautiful thing is that it was planted a seed, a love for the sport
Mm-hmm.
that we've been able to share together for 26 years. So we
Awesome.
run the LA Marathon every year for 26 years in a row. This upcoming March will be our 26th.
Very cool. So that was your first organized race also.
No, we started like doing 5Ks and 10Ks.
Oh, you did
And
some.
I was like,
Okay.
okay, yeah, just a couple.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, this is kind of what it is to run outside of the school setting. And then we jumped into LA, and then, I mean, that was the biggest at that point. So it was a beautiful experience.
I did some of those Bud Light triathlons way back in the day. Did you do any of those? They weren't full Ironman length, but they were mini that kind of got you training for Ironman.
No. It took a while for me to get into triathlon. It wasn't until I finished grad school that I finally started training for a triathlon. Because I was still in high school, and then I went to college and then grad school. So it wasn't until I could actually invest and get a bike.
Yeah. Those are fun. I remember I was horrible at swimming. I swim like a rock. So I'd come in last at the swim and have to make it all up in the run. But it was running's a good sport. It's great that you can just go clear your mind and think of things as you're just out there for your, however many miles you're going. It's great.
Yeah. It's a beautiful sport that I love the fact that you can just start it at any stage of your life, at any level, and you just got to get a good pair of shoes and go out the door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you were on the track team or the cross country team in school, middle school or high school?
Yeah. So I ended up doing 4 years of cross country, 4 years of track, and then 4 years of water polo.
Oh, wow.
So the water polo was actually a little by accident, only because I was like, well, I have to swim eventually once I start getting into triathlons.
Right.
So I joined the water polo team because swimming actually is the same season as track. So I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And then so that was my off season. I was like, this is probably really good cardiovascular. I'm not going to get injured because there's really high risk of injury with soccer. So I jumped into the water polo team, and we weren't very competitive. The water polo team wasn't very competitive in my high school. And I was able to make the team, but I was awful. I was awful that first year. I was humbled. I was humbled because I had jumped into running, and I was like, oh, I naturally am really good at this. This is really great.
Right.
I jumped into water polo, and I was not. So it took a good season of me failing basically, and then dedicating myself to just putting in time, so much time in the pool, from, a couple hours in the morning before school and a couple hours after school, putting in time in the summer to finally get better and like improve. Like, okay, this is what it takes. And it's kind of using that also same philosophy for my running as well.
So you're really dedicated to your sports. You go in and put in the work. That's awesome.
Yes. I love the process, process of preparation, the process of just every single day thinking about how can I help myself improve from what I eat, what I sleep, what I think, how I just train my mind to. It's just all of it put together, because I don't see it as only as training for running. I see it as it's training for life, and it's also training my overall health. Like this is just keeping me lively, positive, just an overall happy person. And, it's really hard to come by when we have the chaos around us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that's true of most sports too. I think what that does, at least for me and all the guys that I played football with and did triathlons with back in the day, it just really helps you develop a resiliency, right? I mean, whatever life throws at you, you know that you can overcome it. You've been on these horrendous runs or horrendous swims or whatever they are, and it's not going to set you back too far. That's great.
Right. Athletes are very, very grateful in their sport, whatever it is, because they end up falling in love with their sport. It makes them just overall grateful and happy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you completed 150 marathons with 77 Boston qualifications, 112 half marathons, 16 Ironmans now, and 16 ultra marathons. That's an impressive list of running, swimming accomplishments. Is there one of them that stands out as the most fun or the most challenging?
Actually during COVID, I created lists to just kill the time. I was like, okay, what are my top 10 favorite trail marathons? What are my top 10 international races? What are my top 10 U.S. marathons? Because there was just so many. In the past 26 years, I've actually collected over probably 650 races that I've done across the world.
Yeah, good for
and
you.
I've just found so much joy in who I meet, what I see, what I get to eat. And also, when you start racing a lot, you start to meet a lot of people that maybe race a lot too. So those are all it makes it all kind of just so memorable. Usually the first one stands out the most because it was the one where it made me feel invincible. And it was very special to share that with my father. just because we ran it side by side, and there's a lot of emotions of going up and down of not believing in myself, and then seeing my dad push himself because he wasn't trained, and then seeing tears of joy when we crossed that first finish line. It was just very, very special. So that one I think it's always my most memorable. And as time has passed, other memorable ones have happened too.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Everything comes up. Yeah. How about the most challenging?
Most challenging marathon I've done is the Inca Trail Marathon. So I've always wanted to do the Inca Trail, and usually you can purchase packages for like 3 to 5 day treks to go across the Inca Trail. But I did find an organization that was doing the marathon in one day. So I was like, well, why not just save my money and I can go vacation for a week and then do the marathon in one day. I realized that marathon, it is actually advertised as one of the hardest in the world because of how much gain it has.
It's got to be high elevation. Yeah, right.
It is high altitude. It's between 8,000 feet and 13,000 feet altitude.
Wow.
But it also has 10,700 feet of gain.
Oof.
So that's extremely challenging. You only see that numbers in usually 50 milers or ultras, and not even some 100 milers that are now flat, like how they have less than 5,000 feet of gain. So that one, and you run through 5 ecological zones. You go through over 5,000 steps along the Inca Trail history. So it was the most challenging, but also like it felt like I was living a whole month going through all of the whole course. It was a beautiful.
Yeah, but it was beautiful.
I ended up finishing. Yeah, I finished in 10.5 hours. So that's how challenging it was.
Wow. Yeah.
2/3 of the field did not finish under the cutoff. So they had to camp out on the Inca Trail and then finish on the second day.
Oof. So 10,000 feet of gain and also 10,000 feet of drop?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
my God. That's brutal. I can't imagine. Yeah. Amazing. Hey, do you write a lot? No, I mean a lot. It feels like I write a ton. From podcast show notes, questions for guests, to social posts, I'm always trying to create compelling content, but also write properly. Proper spelling, grammar, sentence structure. I want it to sound good and also be correct. And I can hear Mrs. Muir from my high school English class in my ear as she reviews my paper and kindly points out all the mistakes I made, particularly mixing up the I and the E. I still do that today. If you write as much as I do, it's nice to have a little backup with spelling and grammar, and I use Grammarly. Grammarly is a cloud-based typing assistant. It reviews spelling, punctuation, clarity, engagement, delivery mistakes, detects plagiarism, and suggests replacements for the identified errors. It also allows users to customize their style, tone, and context-specific language. Their instant grammar checker corrects all grammar errors and enhances your writing. To try it out, go to ricksays.com/grammarcheck and get signed up today. You can thank me later. That's ricksays.com/grammarcheck. Let's get back to the show. So, do you enjoy road running or trail running more?
Trail running. Yeah. Trail running is where my heart and spirit is. Like, my parents are from Ecuador. They're from Quito, which is like right along the Andes Mountains. So it's in my blood to just be in touch with nature, with high altitude, with the sky, with the clouds. And I feel like I can be in touch with my true spirit and my inner child whenever I go trail running now. And there's so much gains and benefits from trail running that translates really well to road.
Yeah. And when we were talking at the running event, you come up here to East Side to run a bit too, Bishop, right? Bishop, Mammoth area?
Yes, I have. I did the 50K up there, and it was such a great event. I might be coming up this year.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, well, let me know when it is. I'll come out there and meet you and cheer you on.
Yeah, it's in mid-May.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out. So you also hold a bachelor's in biology, master's in education, and a California teacher's credential. And now you're an event marketer. Let's start with the event marketing. What kind of events do you work with?
Run events. All revolve around running events. Yeah, so that actually fell into my lap because a colleague of mine who worked for an event production company, Drive Live Entertainment, that's based in downtown LA. He came to me and said, Nadia, is like, they've been producing events in downtown LA that were not running. And then with my background in running, he's like, let's put our brains together and let's start producing. He's like, I want to create my own events. So like, yeah, of course, let's go ahead and do this. So this happened in 2012. Oh, cool. We started. So just everything from startup. And I learned a lot from him, all behind the event production side of it, of running. And then he learned a lot from me with what runners need, what runners want, what runners want to see, like everything, just kind of coming from the non-business perspective. And then he's from the business perspective, putting our brains together and creating just really fun events. We had a bunch of 5K, 10Ks. And we also had the New Year's race, which was a night half marathon in downtown LA. The idea was to kind of run into the new year, but at a larger scale. So it was really, really fun and a great experience to work with them.
But you guys make a good team.
10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was really great because they were go-getters too. And, having that youthful energy of just let's go, 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 go. And always kind of do whatever we can to try to produce the best product or the best event.
Yeah, right. Do you still teach at all? Any educational stuff?
No. I was able to kind of transition. That helped me transition out of teaching because I taught high school biology for freshman level for 10 years.
Nice.
And my passion is education. I love to learn. I love to teach. I love to be an athlete. I love to coach. So it was a great experience while I was doing it. But since I was learning through event marketing and also event production and also with branding and being more and more into the fitness and running industry, I was like, you know what? This is something where I can see myself continuously being challenged and continuously growing. And I want to keep growing and do this from morning to night. So that's where I kind of took a break from teaching. I taught from ages 20 to 30. And I was like, you know what? The great thing about my district was it allowed you to take a sabbatical.
Nice.
Take anywhere between a 1 to 3 year sabbatical and then come back if you'd like.
Yeah.
So I did do that, but I never came back after 3 years. I'm like, I love what I do. And it's different. It doesn't mean it's easier. It's just, it's very, very different. And I felt I'm almost after a few years of teaching, it was almost just only classroom management and administration. The children are amazing. It's always great to try to inspire and motivate and teach and connect with children. But it was administration that made it very difficult.
Yeah, I've heard there's a lot of stuff, back end work. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, that makes it not fun. That stuff's not fun. Usually that stuff's crazy hard, just challenging. Seems like you're super busy. When do you find time to run?
I put it in wherever I can. So because of the nature of working for yourself, it's like I don't need to wake up and make sure I get my run in before my workday starts. It fits in wherever it can. So usually I'm actually running training during lunch session because that's kind of where either work kind of dies down or calls die down, and I try to squeeze it in. But if it has to be in the morning, it's in the morning. If it's the afternoon, if it's in the evening, wherever it is. I'm always happy. It doesn't seem like a chore to me. I also don't run every day because I've been running for 26 years. I want to run for the rest of my life. I want to run until my last breath. So I do a lot of cross training. Good for you. Yeah, I can relate to that. My knees are hammered from all the stuff I've done. So take care of the knees. Yeah, knees and really got to take care of the knees.
That's right. I saw on Facebook you took a fall in the mountains a while back. Are you fully healed from that?
Yeah, it seems like I'm a klutz. It seems like I tend to fall a lot, but I don't. It's just because of the nature of how often I am on the trails.
Yeah.
And that's why just mobility work, strength work is really important when you're not in the trails to strengthen all of your ankles and tendons and ligaments and your foot so that if you do fall and you don't have a detrimental fall. So you basically go with the ground. So sometimes my falls are very minor. It's not a big deal, just a few scratches here and there. And sometimes I bang myself a little bit too much. And, now running across 3 decades of my life, it's not the same when I was in my teens. It's not the same when I was in my 20s. And I'm almost in my 40s. And so I do need to be very cautious. And I try to be very cautious just because it takes me a lot longer to recover from falls these days.
Yeah. Well, just from running these days too, I'll bet. The older you get, the harder it is. I can relate to that. And so now you have an online coaching business. What type of coaching do you do?
Endurance coaching. So primarily most of my athletes and my clients are running. I also did some triathlon coaching, but I just have such a passion for running that the majority of them, it's all word of mouth too, because they don't really push a lot and it's referral. So because at that point, my runners and my clients, they come to me and they already have developed a trust. So I don't have to ever explain this is why we're doing what we're doing. They already trust, we know how you work. We've already been following you for a while, and we trust that you're always doing and designing our plans in our best interest.
That's great. How many clients do you have?
It'll range throughout the year. I don't like to overload it because I just believe that it's important to still make it very personalized. One of the best compliments one of my clients has given me, my runner recently, she's like, you make me feel like I'm your only client.
Perfect.
It's just that is a very special compliment. And that's how I want them to feel. Yeah. I don't ever want to feel like you're just another one in the roster. So it'll be anywhere between 30 to 40 throughout the year.
That's a lot. Well, throughout the year. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Throughout the year,
how long?
So
how long do they typically work with you? A few weeks or?
No, it's usually a few months. So it can be anywhere from, I don't go do contracts either, because I always want them to be very happy with how
whatever they need.
The relationship they have with me. So it always is month to month. So they usually come to me for like 6 months for the whole year. And then I also have clients who because I also encourage this too. It's like, you want to be with your coach for seasons, and sometimes they just need a mental break. They're like, you know what, I need to take a couple months off, and I'll come back to you with my next goals. And I love that, because I want you refreshed, I want you hungry, and then they come back. Sometimes they'll come back a couple of years, because then there's different stages of our lives where they're taking care of other things too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you do anything else for recreation other than run? Play any ball sports?
Team sports are nowadays. I don't do any other team sports, because I'm afraid of injury, which is very unfortunate. I used to snowboard a lot. I had all my gears. I used to go every season, but that was in my teens and my 20s. Just now, I don't just take the risk.
We're invincible in our teens and 20s.
Right.
And then we become uninvincible.
I do swimming and cycling, of course. Naturally, that's part of the triathlon. It helps me just stay sane, and cross training keeps me healthy. But for fun, I'm also really into dogs. I love it's just nurturing dogs, learning about dogs, training dogs. That's like my other happy space.
What kind of dogs? Particular breed?
All of them. The large breeds are my favorite. I have two labs right now, Buster
cool.
and Simba.
My sister had Rhodesian Ridgeback for a while. Those are beautiful dogs. And
They're very beautiful.
Man, they can run. Yeah, he'd take off and just he'd be gone for a while, but he'd come back. Beautiful. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks looking to get into running? Put your coach hat on, and what's the first thing someone who hasn't run for a while and never run? What would you say to them?
I would definitely say that it starts with small steps. It's a small steps every single day. It's that consistency day after day. We all weren't born knowing how to walk. And so we had to crawl first before we had to walk. And it just took try after try. And it just doing a little bit every day. We all started out from the best ultra runner out there, the best triathlete out there. They all started from taking that first step. So it's just that first step that is the most challenging and most difficult. But once you take that first step, then it starts to come and flow, and you start to fall in love with the process, and that's the hope.
Yep, cool. That makes sense. Yep. Do you have a favorite piece of outdoor gear or running gear under $100? You can't buy shoes for under $100 anymore.
No, not anymore. You can't even almost purchase a running registration under 100 anymore. The half marathons and marathons are above that.
Really?
Yes. Especially our super shoes are approaching $300 too.
Holy cow!
Outdoor gear purchase, I would say, trekking poles. Trekking poles are great.
That's a good one.
Micro spikes are great. Again, it's all the outdoor stuff when you can do in the off season, when you get some ice and snow. It makes the whole outdoor experience just fun. I have a lot of dog gear for them. Maybe a little bit too much. I have the dog jackets and the dog shoes and all of the dog pulleys. Just everything.
Do you have some favorite brands of dog gear that you like?
Right now, I'm on a kick with Nonstop Dogwear. They have a lot of great stuff. They're from Norway, so they're definitely made for outdoor stuff. And they make some gear for humans too, just to help match with your dogs.
You got to be matching when you go out there.
Yeah, you have to be.
That's great. How about books? Are you a big reader? Do you have any favorite books?
Yes, I'm a huge reader. I read so many. Some of them. My favorites, which I even go back to sometimes, is just to train the mind, is the Champion Mindset. Champion Mindset is a really great one. But all of the autobiographies and biographies that I used to read, I love to go back to. My friend recently wrote a book. It's like the road to running your first ultra. And she's a very accomplished ultra runner, very humble, and she does Chocolate Nut 50K. She's an RD, but it's a great book to just refer anyone, even if you don't want to do an ultra. It just helps you kind of like, oh, do I want to do a marathon? Do I want to do a half? Do I want to do 5K, 10K? Kind of see what it takes. But Champion Mindset is one of my favorites.
Cool. We'll link to that in the show notes. I remember when all my buddies were doing triathlons back in the day, and one of them went on to do the Ironman. He was a finisher in the Ironman, but most of us could just do those Bud Light length ones. They were shorter and easier to pull off, but you got to really be in shape and you got to be mentally focused, I think. So
yes,
Champion Mindset makes a lot of sense. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say or ask of our listeners?
If you ever see me at the races on the roads, please say hello. I know I get sometimes some messages and say, we just ran into you, but I was so nervous to say hello. But I would love to meet. I love to meet new people. And even if we're not running into each other, like if you have a question, I try to be an open book and like, I'm here to help because I've had to reach out to coaches or mentors, and those people have helped me kind of get to where I want to be. And I'm still asking questions. And so I want to encourage people just to always ask questions, and I'm here as a resource.
Perfect. How can they follow up? What's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me. You can find me on all those social media platforms at I Am Girl Nadia.
Okay. We'll link to that.
And then also my email is always linked to all of my social media too.
And what's your email address?
Nadia C. Ruiz
cool.
at yahoo.com.
Awesome. Cool. We'll link to that in the show notes too. Well, it's been great talking to you. I appreciate the time. And I look forward to probably seeing you at the running event again.
Yes. I need to make that an annual visit.
Yeah. Or if you get up to Bishop and you want to, grab a soda or something before you go running or when you get back, let me know. Be good to catch up.
Yeah, that would be great.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or spread the word and tell a friend. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Sayes.